I thought today I would talk a little bit about a book that I wrote about people in Long Beach, traveling in and out of Long Beach. I forget when the city decided to connect Long Beach with the rest of LA County. I may have the exact date here. In a book I wrote called Black, White, and Brown on the Blue Line. Black, White, and Brown on the Blue Line.
Very nice. Thank you.
As a writer who lives in Long Beach, this was published in 2014, and it was in response. It was in response to the decision that the city fathers made to establish a railway from First Avenue in Long Beach to 7th Avenue in downtown LA. And it was such an incredible idea because for years and years they've been talking about ways and means they could save gas and save pollution from so many cars and so forth and so on. So the idea was not new to establish a rail line that would take people above all the freeways and stop the pollution and so forth and so on. So lo and behold, they did it. They did it. They created the Blue Line from downtown Long Beach to downtown LA. I got on the Blue Line early on in the game, and early on, it's like a few weeks or a few months after it was put into effect, security was tight. It was an honor system, railway payment thing that a lot of people thought, oh, never work. People will not do the honorable thing and buy tickets and get on the train and so forth. They will make every effort to jump on the train and sneak a ride. Didn't happen. First of all, because the people who were trying to stop you from getting a free ride were very serious about it. So they had special sheriffs people, they had undercover agents there. It was like the FBI. And it seems to have worked. I don't know if they come out with a debit or a deficit or a surplus or whatever at the end of every year, fiscal or whatever. But it has offered me, I think, really a beautiful opportunity to study faces and names and figures. What I'd like to read for maybe a chapter is the prologue and the first chapter of what the book is about. And so far it's gotten a pretty good reception from people who live in Long Beach, who have now seen their city become the subject of a book written by yours truly, Odie Hawkins. I've thought about doing it as a movie, and one of the things that I would do is fade in. A blue train travels north, another in the opposite direction. We pan the city of Long Beach and beyond. The voiceover is like a stream of consciousness, and of course there's the appropriate musical soundtrack. This is my my note to be taken into consideration when doing it as a movie script, because I see it as a movie. This is the prologue. It would have been impossible to predict a blue line in Los Angeles, Watts, 107th and Avalon Avenue, California, when I came to live there back in 1966. In Los Angeles County, many of us, pressed by circumstances, have suffered distances that would make a camel thirsty or cause a new car to need an oil change. There were people talking about putting trains on city tracks, no doubt, but I never heard their talk. I was too busy trying to force my raggedy old car to run a few more miles, or trying to figure out how I could walk from Belgium to Holland without peeing on myself. I'm talking about distances. Once upon a time, stranded beside a road to eternity, down there in Orange County, someone told me that the property I was standing in front of was as large as Luxembourg, and I had walked across most of Austria to get there. For those who live in parts of the country where distances are less great, you'd have to live in a place like Los Angeles County to realize how huge it is. That's what I'm talking about. Distances. Gotta admit it, I didn't have the vision to assume that there would ever be a rail transportation system like our old hard-heeled CTA in Chicago. That's CTA, Chicago Transit Authority.
Okay.
Nothing would ever come close to that monstrosity that connects various tentacles of New York with itself. If you've ever been down in the subway in New York, it's like going into another world. The platforms and sub-platforms and I can't even begin to describe it. The Blue Line, 21st century, and its crossing arms, the green and red lines, is unique. It doesn't go very, very far. Surely there's more. Whoa, I got a lot of notes in here. Surely there's more railway at Disneyland, but it takes you to different places if your mind is open. From the metro station, 7th Street, downtown Los Angeles, to 1st Street, downtown Long Beach. From the end of one world to the end of another world. Rich people do not ride the Blue Line, meaning that the Blue Line is there for people of color who are not wealthy. A hardcore of white working types ride the train in the morning, going to their jobs in downtown Los Angeles, and again in the evenings. There's a heavy police presence. The train has its own special police force. Heavy. Lots of money invested in the Blue Line, and none of the investors want to lose anything because of people being afraid to take this train or gang warfare. Strangely, the honor system is in effect. Signs in English, Spanish, and Korean explain that each passenger should have proof of payment. If not, the penalty is a stiff fine. No eating, drinking, smoking, or outrageous behavior is permitted, and the rules are seriously enforced. Sometimes for days on end, riding north and south, south and north, no one will check to see who has a ticket, or transfer, or a bus pass for train travel too. But the seed of obedience to the rules has been so deeply sowed that most sensible people know that it isn't worth the gamble to try to cheat the system. African Americans and Spanish-speaking brown-skinned people ride the Blue Line. Black and brown on the Blue Line comes from our experiences with each other. Another note to myself as a movie script. The language should be lyrical, accompanied by tight shots of the subjects, babies, and so forth. This is in the first person voiceover. Take that little note there and keep it up at the top so that when we get ready to do the movie script, we'll know what to do. Also have another little note here down at the bottom. I'll put that down at the bottom so it won't get in my way and I can read unimpeded.
All right.
Just the way I wanted to. I call this particular one, the first chapter of the book, fittingly, is called Baby Infantile Thoughts from 7th to Pico. Babies, so many babies, black and brown babies, babies with attitudes, stoic babies, squawking babies, smiling babies, drooling babies, silly babies, laughing babies, funny babies, sad babies, frightened babies, fearless babies, sick babies, healthy babies, sleeping babies, clean babies, dirty babies, soiled babies, unspoiled babies, little babies, big babies, all beautiful. The babies are usually carried, but often pushed into the train in a stroller by women. But from time to time, a man enters the vehicle with a baby in his arms. It would be emotionally dishonest to suggest that I was never attracted to babies. I think all curious people are attracted to these unusual creatures. The BlueLine offered me my first moving study of babies, their relationship to the person or persons they are with, their relationship to themselves, and the world at large. Sadly, I must confess that I had to be cautious about how I looked at these innocent people. In today's evil world, there are people who would do harm to babies, and I never wanted to be mistaken for one of them. For that reason alone, I was never able to make friends with any of the BlueLine babies. I feared the consequences of being too warm, too loving, too charmed by the babies. Yeah, that's what the world has come to. The men and women, however, who hold the babies in their arms seem to have an ambiguous attitude toward friendly attention. They seem to like someone's admiring glance or friendly, "Oh, how cute he is." But we were all too conscious of the mean spirits swirling around to feel totally at ease. I sat in place, stared whenever I dared, and made mental notes. The almond eyes of an 8-month-old clenched eyes with me. She has an absolutely round face and head and the look of a clairvoyant. She does not blink and seems to know something. 8 months old? What can she possibly know? I'm fascinated by the intelligence of her expression. She looks more intelligent than her mother and father even. I'm tempted to speak to her, to ask her serious questions about the world she just come from. But there's no need to disturb our telepathic communication just to say some words. Her mother, a small, beautifully sculpted lady who has the profile of a face from an ancient Mayan wall, notices our exchange and smiles. Her smile seemed to say, "Ah, she's a deep child." I have to break the lock she has on my attention by staring out of the window for a few beats. I've had a couple of cats pull me into their psychic modes for spans of time, the same way that the baby is doing. It's the opaqueness of their eyes that seems to whisper everything you've ever wanted to hear. I turn back to discover that the mother, the father, and the baby have disappeared. I make a quick, surreptitious search around the train. They're not there. We haven't come to the next station. They haven't gotten off the train. I'm forced to settle back and relax. Don't panic simply because the subject matter buzzing through my head that's responsible for me imagining that I saw this baby. Just my imagination. Yeah, right. The sleepers, I dubbed them. These extraordinary beings who have developed the ability to sleep through the world's chaos. How did they learn how to do it at such an early age? Years later, rich people spend thousands of dollars, the pesos, naras, cedis, pesetas, shekels, to find a guru to teach them how to do what babies do. I stared at the baby, carefully noting the classic "I am happy" smile. 10 paces beyond the stroller, within easy grasp of its mother's protective shielding arms, within the danger zone of a piece of social dynamite, the baby slept. 10 of us at least were mentally, psychologically preparing ourselves to take the social dynamite down, if not out, if he got a micron too close to this smiling sleeper. Fortunately for him, he popped off at the next stop, cussing and screaming. You might run into a crazy somebody like that. The 10 of us, it might have been 20 counting the men. Every woman on the train was ready to. The 10 of us breathed a sigh of pure relief. Now we won't have to lynch a person with problems who was threatening baby space. Babydom was secure. Suzuki, the Zen guy, not the motor guy, Ferlinghetti and the hip Allen Ginsberg knew a lot about Zen and being cool, but what did they know about sleeping babies on the BlueLine? Day after day, I looked up from my reading of Them Is Me, and whatever that may be is, and stared into the sleeping awake eyes of hundreds of sleepers. Sleeping awake, they do that with their eyes open. Sometimes they're awake when they have their eyes closed.
Okay.
It's a long story.
All right, baby.
Don't they know what's happening in Congo, Bosnia, Ireland, New Zealand, Russia, China, Hong Kong, Texas, Australia, or Antarctica, Spain, New Jersey? Don't they realize the consequences of their sleeping? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We, been here much longer now, could easily rationalize what we understand about cool behavior by understanding how not cool behavior equates to nasty behavior, usually. The sleepers have obviously worked themselves past all of this stuff. They go to sleep when they're sleepy, and it's quite obvious to anyone who studies geopolitics, science, industry, economics, race relations, or any of the other earthbound disciplines that sleep is the ultimate solution to most of our stuff. Sad babies, funny babies, addicted babies. My daughter Gabrielle, a mother, is responsible for revealing the natural addiction that babies are prone to suffer. What do you think that 2 a.m. feeding thing is all about? It makes all the sense in the world to me, this junky pattern of behavior. They're not always hungry when they demand to be fed every 4 or 5 hours. Maybe it's something in the baby food. Once again, Gabrielle points out, ever notice the difference between breastfed babies and bottle-fed babies? I had to confess I hadn't paid that much attention. Well, check it out. Generally speaking, the breastfed doesn't need to have as many feeding. They sleep sounder, give their parents more rest. The bottle-fed baby has to have it now! And if they don't get it, well, you've seen the tantrums and all the other negative behavior. What's in that formula anyway? Won't it be heart-rending 20 years from now when some independent scientist reveals the secret ingredients that hooked our babies and created a junkie mentality for the rest of our lives? But then, what about the guys who are breastfed, the women who are breastfed, the girls, the babies? Are they addicted to breasts? The stoic ones most often hold my attention longest. What's on their minds? What do they think about as they stare at this world they've just recently tumbled head first into? Such a sophisticated expression for a year-old face. How could they have learned how to be so cool in such a short time? The babies with attitudes. See the Mussolini jut of the jaw and the pushed-out bottom lip? The squawking babies, the drooler, the silly ones, the delighted with life laughing ones.
Yes.
What is in that form here? The frightened babies, the fearless babies who will stick their hands into a Rottweiler's mouth or whip a rattlesnake around by the tail. The sick babies, the healthy babies, the clean and dirty ones, the spoiled, unsoiled ones, and the big ones, all beautiful, all delightful mysteries. What are they going to become? Well, I'm going to leave it at that point right now.
Oh, okay.
That first chapter is called Babies And the second chapter is coming into Artesia Station.
After looking at all the babies.
Black, white, and brown on the blue line is what they call a picaresque kind of book. They're full of picaresque. I used to say picture squee.
Okay.
No, I used to say picture squee, picaresque. What you might call rascals. The babies in some ways are rascals, some of them. Delightful, charming rascals. But my focus mainly in the book was to have us see certain characters for what they are. Characters.
Yeah.
We are all characters.
This is so true.
Even myself.
Okay. And I understand the cover was done by...
The cover was done by none other than someone I've met years ago. Would you like to meet her? I would, face to face. Zola, come down here. She's on the third row of the balcony. Oh, here she comes. Come on down.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, you made it. Who lowered you down? You had your usual attachments up there, huh?
Yes, you got it.
Hey, tell me something about this beautiful, what do you call this,
Yeah, sort of a collage.
Collage.
Okay, a collage, yes. That,
this is my favorite photographer.
have you waiting for the blue line. And the platform, there's emergency responders that were working on somebody on the platform back there. And let's see here in have you buying a ticket?
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
You must buy a ticket.
No, I bought a ticket. I got a ticket. I got a ticket.
Okay. And then in the back here, I have you having a cup of coffee.
Is that what that is? Can I
Yes,
see it?
yes, okay.
Yes.
Yes, while you're
And my
waiting.
T-shirt has on it, "Got freedom."
Yes, that's what the T-shirt.
In case you can't see that.
Okay.
Got freedom.
Got freedom. Okay.
Got freedom? Question mark. Sorry, I didn't mean to go.
Okay, your son Russell gave that to you, if I recall.
Yes.
Okay, and then also it has a picture of the tracks. So it's, like I said, a collage of the blue line and people waiting on the blue line.
It's definitely Long Beach, and it's definitely about all of the things that can happen on a train. I made the point early on that it was a very safe trip, but there were, and there still are, anytime you get a collection of people together who are familiar strangers, some of us are,
Yes.
some of us are just completely strange, and then there's some in-betweens. You'll have some interactions that are not always delightful.
Yes, yes, indeed.
But like I
Yeah.
said earlier, because of the police enforcement, they are pretty much locked down on things. They also have cameras, don't they?
They do have cameras, at least on the platform, and there are a lot of people who do take the train, not only the blue line. I still believe there are people still working at the Department of Justice taking the blue
Taking the
line.
blue line.
Okay, and you know, and also in the red line, whatever, going into.
Oh, they're connected with red
Yeah.
and green, I think.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Let me ask you this. What do you think would happen if I got on a train with this lady?
I'm sure they probably would wonder who she is and what she is. Okay, but
They can see she's an African woman holding a kid in her right arm and a pot in the other hand.
hand, right? Okay, and this is again another figurine that my mother, Helen Jewel Mosley Gray, Queen Jewel.
Queen Jewel.
Cool.
The hairdo
Yes.
has so many, have to be so many symbolic twists and turns in it that I hardly know where to start. These look like a bird's beak.
They do, right? Okay, both of these here. And,
Okay, this one too, eh?
And she's got her earrings on, and looks like some necklaces you know, all the way up her neck. And then she looks like she has some body marks. You know, body tattoos.
Body markings.
Yeah, body tattoos. Okay. And her baby's holding on to her breast, and it's a very interesting figure.
What I like very much about these pieces is that they all seem so rooted, you know, as Tai Chi practitioners. You know, we put a great stock in being rooted, and this is something.
Oh yeah, she's.
If you know, her figure looks grounded to the earth. I know there's a reason why she's not tall and lanky. This makes it seem as though she's stuck in the ground and could not be overturned for any reason whatsoever.
Right.
It's a beautiful piece.
Yes, and tomorrow, or I should say the next time that we are filming, we will show her husband.
I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
All right, here's the BlueLine. Your book can be purchased at, is this the Author House book? Or
I think you mentioned that in your commercial. Isn't that what it is?
Yes.
A commercial.
Yes, at the end.
I've never made a commercial before. Let's see what that seems like.
Okay.
What do you think?
That'd be fair. All right, you can be purchased at Author House or Amazon or Google Odie Hawkins. Odie Hawkins, www.odiehawkins.com. And
I have an idea.
What's that?
Why don't we go out in the sun and give the commercial in the sunshine rather than in the studio?
You got it, kid.
See you outside.
See you outside.
She's going back up into this. Okay.